Public Relations. Edward L. Bernays. 1945. Narrated by Skeptical Waves. Part 2. Public Relations in Action. 16. Achieving Goals Through the Education of the Public. Among the most important groups in our democratic society are the thousands of voluntary health organizations throughout the United States. Although these groups perform extremely valuable services, a study by one of our great foundations reports that they are not as effective as they might be. Their activities overlap and duplicate each other, their goals and scope are not clearly defined, and there is no realistic interaction between their desire to do good and the methods by which they attempt to reach the public. I had occasion to deal with this problem when the National Society for Crippled Children and Adults invited me to address its National Convention on Achieving Goals for the Handicapped Through Education of the Public. The Society directs a broad program of health, welfare, education, recreation, rehabilitation, and employment for all physically handicapped persons regardless of the nature of their disabilities. Its program is based on a policy which holds that handicapped persons are a normal and ever-present part of society and are therefore entitled to every opportunity to contribute to society as useful citizens and to the limit of their abilities. In dealing with the problems of the society, I tried to apply public relations principles to the type of cause represented by a voluntary health organization. The best cause in the world can obtain public support only when the public is convinced that the cause is important. The following chapter outlines recommendations by which a voluntary health organization can educate the public to understand and support its services. Every cause that tries to enlist the interest and support of the public may be thought of as an iceberg. The public is interested in and supports only what it sees, even though the portion that lies below the surface of its vision may be much greater and more important. Today the visibility of the National Society's cause is not as great as it might be, not because the problem of crippled children and adults is not an important and vital one, but because thousands of other ideas and interests are competing for public attention. The National Society for Crippled Children and Adults may have the best cause in the world, but the public must be convinced that it is important before it will support it. The public importance of this cause is in direct ratio to its visibility, to its being on the front page, so to speak, of the channels of communication that reach and make public opinion. In the 19th century, Emerson could say that if a man built a better mousetrap than his neighbor, the world would make a beaten path to his door. In the crowded, turbulent 20th century, so many men are making so many mousetraps that the world will not beat a path to one door unless that door has high visibility. The National Society, then, must create visibility for its cause, high visibility on a national, statewide, and local basis. This is the first problem in any attempt to educate the public for the achievement of the Society's goals. How do you establish visibility for a cause such as this? One method is to hold conventions. Thousands of its representatives meet in one place at one time to discuss the problem in many ways: by exhibits, by having newsworthy men and women in various fields talk to the delegates, by having demonstrations in which the crippled and the handicapped participate to show what the Society has done and can do. This makes it clear that thousands of representative Americans consider that the Society's cause is important and deserves visibility. The large number of delegates at the Society's conventions and what they do makes news that passes through the great media of communication: press, radio, motion pictures. Millions of Americans who have not given the matter of the crippled and the handicapped much thought before will agree that this is an important subject which deserves their interest. But any one activity of this kind in a world as competitive as ours can give only slight impetus to any idea. It cannot solve the problem of educating the public so as to make possible the achievement of the National Society's goals. No matter how many meetings, conventions, conferences, and clinics the Society may hold, there would not be enough to meet the real problem of getting basic continuing support for its goals and ideals. Educating the public is a much broader problem in social engineering. How is this problem to be met? Wholehearted support can come only from greater public understanding. Abraham Lincoln once said, "With public opinion on its side, everything succeeds; with public opinion against it, nothing succeeds." That is why public opinion must be won for the National Society's cause through education and persuasion in favor of the Society's activities. Let us consider what steps must be taken in this social engineering, aimed at obtaining public support for this cause. The first step is to ensure that the National Society's goals are realistic, attainable, and effectively refined and defined. We know that the Society is directing a program of health, welfare, recreation, and rehabilitation for the handicapped. The Society maintains that handicapped persons are a normal, ever-present part of society and are entitled to contribute to society as useful citizens and to the limit of their abilities. The Society's task is to enable them to do so. But for purposes of social engineering, it is necessary to find out on national, state, and local levels whether the society's goals are really attainable, whether they meet public needs and can elicit public response. This can be ascertained by research of the public. Research will tell whether the manpower, the money, and the organizational facilities available to the national society are adequate for reaching its goals, and whether these goals are duplicated by other organizations on local, state, or national levels. Research will also disclose whether the society's goals are too diffuse. For instance, failure to draw up a program that specifies order of action may damage a campaign's effectiveness. Research of the public will also reveal the social forces in the community that may work with the national society, which of their activities should be integrated with the society's, whose aid should be sought for the realization of the goals involved, and what groups and organizations are best fitted to work with the society. Other vital factors that can be determined by research are what publics the society is seeking to educate, what special fields of activity appeal to these publics, what media can best convey the necessary ideas, what words, pictures, and events will influence the publics involved in the way the national society wants them to be influenced. Research will help the society define its goals. It will also tell whose favorable attitudes need to be intensified, whose attitudes must be negated, and who needs to be converted to the society's point of view. After such a research survey has been made on national, state, and local levels, the next step is to consider a possible reorientation of the society's goals. If it is found that these goals are not as realistic and sound as they might be, that they duplicate other goals, or that they are too broad or too narrow, or are based on wishful thinking instead of on the attitudes of the publics aimed at, it may be necessary to change these goals. Research may indicate that the society's services should be listed on a functional basis. At present they are listed under direct services on the society's program. This term, it seems to me, lacks salability. By functional listing I mean something along the following lines. 1. Physical services. Under this subdivision might be listed speech defects, muscular training, and the like. 2. Adjustment services. Here the mental and emotional services of the society might be listed. 3. Vocational services. Under this head, training and placement services might be grouped. After goals are set in the light of research, it is possible to plan for the education of the public. To be effective, this planning cannot rest its case on words alone. In a world where words have lost some of their impact and glamour, where post-war disillusionment has deflated the power of phrases, it might be well to keep in mind that organizational activities must go hand in hand with the verbal barrage. This means that the national society's educational process must combine two activities. While selling its words to editors, publishers, radio commentators, writers, and other opinion molders, the society must also integrate itself with the community where it functions, with the key social groups that make up the community. That is, the national society should sell its activity to the educational, business, trade union, social service, and professional leaders to get them to cooperate with the society. If the society can convince these groups of the importance of its cause, and get cooperation from them on the basis of a coincidence of interests, then the visibility of the society's cause will be raised. And greater overt public support will come to the society as if by magic. This matter of creating visibility and educating the public for the needs and potentialities of crippled children and adults is not, then, solely a matter of words and news releases. It is also a matter of integrating the national society with American society, and letting the national society's actions speak louder than words. Then the public will give the cause of crippled children and adults the same importance as the society gives it. Media of communication are only conduits to the public. The words that flow through these conduits will make an impact only if they reflect work the national society is accomplishing. And only if words enlist the participation of the entire community will this work obtain the public support it needs. Possibly one way to educate the American public to understand the needs of crippled children and adults, and to support this cause, is for the National Society to set up a central board of strategy, consisting of representatives of the society and of the various groups whose activities impinge upon those of the society in social fields, ranging from the National Education Association and the National Information Bureau to the American Newspaper Publishers Association and the General Federation of Women's Clubs. This central board of strategy could work out both an immediate and a long-range plan of educating the public in the light of whatever research of the public the National Society has made. On the basis of the facts revealed by research, the Central Strategy Board could decide upon the goals, the themes, the strategy, and the tactics of the nationwide, statewide, and local campaigns for bringing about better public understanding and greater public support of the National Society's work in integrating the crippled and the handicapped with society. The National Society has a cause with a wide appeal. But the cause, in my opinion, needs to be redefined to enlist the support of the men and women looking for a more specific appeal than the 28 million figure of the crippled in the United States with which it is difficult for any person to identify himself. The public should help the National Society to extend its work to all the men, women, and children who need it. And the public will give this kind of support if the National Society will educate more people to understand that, in rehabilitating and reintegrating the handicapped, it strengthens the fabric of our society, affirms our democratic faith, and proclaims in action the dignity of man.